All right. Had some technical issues on the server side, but looks like we're back up and running. I'm actually not sure how stable or unstable things are going to be on the Xbox side right now, but we're back up and running. We're into gameplay, so we can fire it back up and let you guys see some gameplay.
Looking good so far.
Oh. Bad breakout pass to take things off.
Fired down, decision made. Defenders first. Icing.
Since you guys didn't see us choose our player classes, I'm playing the right wing with the sniper, and Ben's got playmaker at center.
Playmaker at center. I think I'm matched up against another playmaker too. If people are curious, what's the center on the other side.
Looks ahead to start something. Dream Killers have possession in their own end. That play went offside.
Oh, that beard. Unreal.
That's a great looking beard.
I'm growing it all through finals.
Solid win at
Yeah.
center ice. Now what? That one comes right on his stick. Not very long, but good. Oh, here's a wrister. Oh, and
Also, if you're
Here's one of those
you're
times
watching
where
right
you
now,
look at the net and there's nothing
we have two
there.
user control
That's
goalies in
where
there
you
as
just
well.
gotta shoot for the center of the net.
Honolulu's controlling play now in the defensive zone. Wrist shot. Thompson's got a shovel.
And for those who haven't had sort of a chance to sort of follow through on the forums, we've obviously had some kind of in-depth conversations there with people that are interested in terms of some of the things that have changed on the physics side. So you'll see sort of some of the incidental contact still sort of alive in the game, but toned down now to make sort of to replicate sort of the awareness of the different players. So when you're running into teammates, it's not as if you sort of had like a full-on collision. It represents more if the players are sort of more aware and trying to hold up in those collisions. If you sort of slow down into a glide, it really understands sort of the relative speeds, whether you have your head buried or you're in a glide. It's really going to drastically change the levels of those collisions. And we take more into account sort of what your intent is, so whether you're actually trying to hit versus an actual incidental contact. That was really important for us to solve, looking at online multiplayer gameplay with a lot of people running in and fighting for pucks in the corners and that kind of thing. So keep an eye out for some of those interactions.
And in their own end, hanging on to it. Oh, and here's a 3-on-2.
Right there, you saw the initial loss of the puck was actually sort of due to incidental contact with the leg. So like when the player's stick tried to sort of go through the defensive player, he lost the puck right away. And then the next interaction was actually like an actual poke check. So when you're trying to sort of dangle through tighter spaces and multiple bodies, it's definitely not as easy as it was in the past.
The Hawks have it up the wing, trying to go to Carlton. Shooting, got his stick on it.
All these just people that are.
Yeah, somebody's spamming it. We'll turn off the notifications at the end of the period, guys. We are very aware that somebody's doing that. It's quite evident.
Screening me.
Taken and held at the blue line. He's pinned and held at the boards. Swept away. Big save there.
It's alright, their name's showing up, so they're calling themselves out to the entire community. So good luck finding the EA Sports Hockey League team this year.
Yeah.
Well, the shooter's pretty disappointed, guys. He delivered that
Had to be
puck
one
quickly.
guy.
It was accurate, yet the goaltender was just better than him on the wrist shot.
Good job on the draw. Dream Killers ready in attack back in the defensive zone. Move to the shadow of the boards by D'Agostini.
Apparently that's the same guy that was giving the Xbox servers trouble too, so just keep that in mind when you can message him.
Ramos tripped up. That should be a penalty. Shane's going to the box, and the call is tripping. There's always a start to your power play night, and this is number one. The Hawks with a clean win on the draw. Possession taken by Ramos. Forcing the goalie to...
You'll notice some of the other interactions sort of away from the puck, my ability, I'm over sort of at that right face-off dot, and sort of ability to really control my space to get open, and they're able to be parked on the far side there and bury the rebound. But even before that, opening up for the one-timer, the opportunity to sort of take little steps now, that's where precision skating comes in. It's not just with the puck sort of controlling the blue line, it's sort of your ability to hold your ground and either get open for a chance to bury the one-timer, or like in that opportunity just to hold your position and get ready for a rebound situation as well. And you'll see on the other side of the puck, defensemen able to hold their ground in front of the net, take away passing lanes using that same ability, and it's really intuitive because it's just by using vision control and sort of taps on the left stick, you can move that small distance. So it's not really different than what you would have done before to hold your ground, except now that you've actually got proper animations that are a little bit more solid and where your skates can dig in, as opposed to starting an acceleration and constantly starting and stopping.
Uwe saying that somebody should get open and do one-time thing, where you can move around.
Yeah, so that's kind of where.
Oh,
Greaser.
That's me with my head down. That's my guy.
Somebody asked, Rammer, what position are you playing?
I'll play right wing as a sniper.
You get this close to the goaltender, the puck on your stick, you gotta snap
Yeah,
it quick.
people keep asking when the beta releases. So it is tomorrow, but basically whenever the marketplaces are updated, that's when you guys will be able to find it. So there's not like a set time, it's just whenever Sony and Microsoft decide that they're updating their marketplaces.
They win the draw and will now set up an attack.
I've seen comments on the forums too, people asking sort of if face-off spamming will ensure that you lose the face-off. So if first and foremost, the most important thing is sort of your timing and the grip that you use. But if both players have the right timing, then after that, if one player was spamming, they will automatically, like, they lose their bonus for being down and ready. So anybody spamming will automatically lose a face-off as long as the other player has got the right timing and they're effectively doing it properly.
We're just turning off the notifications so Ben can actually see as he plays.
On the strength of this game-tying goal, have gotten this contest back even, and maybe
All right, we're all
they're the
good.
team with the edge as we go to break.
See some of the stats there.
Someone asks, can you confirm the menu music? Will it be the same?
Slightly different, but overall, like in terms of tone, we still went with the orchestral themes in the menus, and then we still do have a soundtrack as well, along with all of the licensed music that we signed for all the custom goal songs as well for many of the teams. So a lot of times we hear our actual soundtrack is in the in-arena soundtrack, sort of post-whistle, and for teams, some of the leads and teams where we don't have their custom goal music, you'll hear some of the soundtrack there, and you'll hear the orchestral theme in the menus.
Okay. Also, is it easier to score 5-hole goals this year than last year?
Yeah, so we looked back at 5-hole goals. It was something that we talked about a bit on the forums as well. We actually fixed the bug. We were aiming 5-hole, so that's definitely a big change. And then we also looked at, looking at passing and shooting accuracy in terms of just overall execution for your accuracy, that all weighs in. So if you're balanced when you're coming into deke and you pull it over your backhand and you have control, you should be able to get a pretty accurate sort of tuck to the 5-hole. But if you're racing in to try and sort of quickly and get off a shot quickly, you'll still have the same area you do for other shots, but the ability to aim 5-hole in the first place is completely fixed.
Someone asked, are we allowed to upload the beta to YouTube?
Yes, you are. Yeah. Yeah, it's out there for you to play. So you can upload as much as you'd like to.
We've also got some channels for people to send in some of their top plays too, so hopefully we'll have an opportunity to go through and pick some of the top highlights throughout the beta, so that everybody else gets to share in all the great plays as well. So if they don't happen to catch your stream, we'll do our best to get some of the top plays up there as well.
Yeah, it's important for the beta. You know, there's a couple reasons we wanted to do it. One was to give all our fans the opportunity to play the EA Sports Hockey League experience before the game launches. And second, a big one for us is really to get feedback on the experience itself, on the gameplay, on the tuning of the different player classes as well, just so we can really start to dial that in for launch, have as balanced experience as possible when the game launches on September 15th.
What player class is Rammer and Ben using?
I'm a right winger. I'm using the sniper player class, which is why I'm kind of shooting every time I get the puck.
And then I'm playing center with a playmaker. So you just saw there, like I had an opportunity where I was in the defensive, like in the middle of the passing lane, and was able to pick up the puck. But then once I was trying to break away, I had an opportunity. It was really easy to kind of strip me of the puck once the players sort of got in on me, because they sort of had two sticks in there. So the playmaker does have decent puck control, but once you get into those situations, it's not going to matter. So he's doing a very good job protecting the puck.
How long does the beta last?
The beta's going to last for 7 days. So we encourage everyone to get in there and play it. Give us that feedback. The other thing that we're going to look to do is, based on the feedback we get, so we're hoping to get a lot of feedback and really update the experience based on what you guys tell us. So dialing any elements of gameplay, kind of tweaking it to make sure that it's as good as we can make it. And also any feedback we get around the player classes as well, we're going to look to do an update as well there, so that we can again just get the balance right for when we launch the game.
Another question was, can you only play as Chicago and Tampa Bay in these new jerseys?
No, we're gonna have the final four. We're gonna have the final four conference finals selectable. Obviously, when the full game goes live, you'll have access to all the teams in the game from all the different leagues. But we just wanted to minimize the amount of teams just for size. So beta more than anything.
Anything you do once, you can do twice. Let's see if that applies to this particular power play. Off the great save. And he holds on. Big face-off win. That pass along the boards.
Did you guys want to talk about the classes at all, the different classes?
Turned aside off the pass.
Strengths and weaknesses?
And that one's sent back out.
Yeah, so we released sort of a high level of each of the classes yesterday through our channels. So I'm not sure how many people had a chance to take a look, but definitely get on there and check it out. But I think overall there won't be too many surprises. I think that if the whole point of the balance system and sort of the predictability is that if you had 10 people in a room, that you'd kind of be 9 out of 10 or 10 out of 10 of who would be able to explain what a power forward should be able to do versus what a sniper should be able to do. So, like I say, I don't think overall there would be any surprises, but as we sort of work through the different classes, there's some sort of sub pieces. So when we made sure, obviously the sniper has to be great at shooting, but when we looked at some of the balance, we wanted to make sure that they weren't as great at passing, that they weren't going to be able to sort of go into the corners and be able to sort of battle for pucks and come out with it. They really need to rely on their teammates to be the ones to open up space. So we went through some exercises, and this is some of the exercises that we went through with you guys as well, working with the Game Changers group, was scenario based. Who do you want? What player class would you want to be in there battling for a puck in the corner? Who should they be looking to outlet the puck to? Who's going to make that great breakout pass? Who do you want to be open in the slot taking that shot? Who's going to be the one passing to them? That kind of thing. So that's where we went through and kind of balanced what a playmaker could do versus where a two-way forward would maybe come in as a sort of better in the transition game and better at sort of helping with those takeaways.
Yes.
Things like that.
Yeah, another question I keep getting is, are the menus faster?
Yeah, actually quite a bit faster. Overall, the feedback's been pretty good through. It depends on what part of the menus too. So just sort of working through the menus, they're quicker. But then even when it comes to things like simming, if you're playing sort of GM modes and stuff like that, they're also considerably faster there as well.
Yeah, just being year 2 on the new consoles allows us to spend some time. So I spent a lot of time this year going through and optimizing the old screen, the quickest of the screens.
Decision made. Defenders first. Icing.
Is there any limit to how long the goalie can skate with the puck?
No, but we wouldn't recommend doing it too far because of the ability to lose the puck in incidental contact and stuff like that. They're not probably going to hang on to the puck too long. Maybe they'll pull off the Patrick Ross spin around though if they're lucky.
I think I know those actually.
Yeah, but yeah, so there's no sort of game sort of limited mechanics there. To stop them.
And it's a fresh lead. Face-off win, and now what will they do with it?
Has there been any changes to how trades are sent and accepted in Live?
Pitching it to Ramo. Still on his stick, that puck, as he travels through the neutral zone. Perfect pass.
No, for the most part, the trade functionality remains the same.
Room to score from in that area. Great save.
Tampa Bay's recoiling.
Somebody has to start a fight.
To D'Agostini.
D'Agostini's looking to get another one. He had the last one in this game.
Good job
Yeah,
with the
Sniper
stick.
definitely doesn't have
And they've
fighting
got
skills.
3 on 2 here.
Oh,
I'd rather not get my ass kicked.
Covered whistle blown. Quick on the face-off.
Do you need EA access for the beta? Or how can, like, the different ways that you can get the beta?
Yeah, so the beta is open for everyone that played NHL. Yeah, it's nice. Well, everyone, we can skip this. We don't need to watch this replay. Yeah, the beta is open for everyone who played NHL 15. So if you are an Xbox One user or a PlayStation 4, what you're going to see is a tile open up as you got the patch that we just released. The tile's going to open up. You'll be able to click that, and it'll take you to the first-party store where you can download the beta tomorrow when it's available. And if you're a Gen 3 user that opted into the email, you saw us pumping everyone to kind of opt in with the EA Sports Hockey League announcement. Gen 3 users will get a code emailed to them. And they can take that code into Gen 4 and download it.
Into the last minute of the second period.
Player model
Nice
improvements.
play with the stick. Nothing
yeah, so like we're always looking to improve the likenesses of star players, so we've got a bunch of updates to star players' faces. We went through and looked at stuff sort of on the player models, obviously added a lot of variety from a customization perspective. So you'll see things right down to all the multiple different types of sort of shot blockers, or whatever you want to call them, sort of skate guards and stuff on your skates. A bunch of new helmets and glove types and things like that, and then we even went into sort of the rigging side. And for those that don't know what rigging means, but basically just the way that we weight the players to sort of the virtual skeleton underneath, and that has to do with sort of the way that the shoulders deform and things like that. So not necessarily going in and drastically changing like the jersey model, but you'll see some differences in the silhouette just from those changes.
So if you guys are just tuning in, I know there seems to be a lot of repetitive questions about when it will release. So the beta is going to come out tomorrow, obviously, but there's not a set time. Basically, Microsoft and Sony both have to update their marketplaces, so it's not going to be right when it hits 12:01 in the morning or anything. So make sure you guys get enough sleep to get ready for the beta, and you can play all day.
Yeah, and once it is available, we'll blast it out through our channels as well.
Yeah.
Third period has begun. The next one could be the winning one. Could this be icing? And it will be, based on the defense arriving first.
A clean hit, too. That's the best part of hockey, when the game is played as physically as possible, as cleanly as possible, and this is a crushing check.
Tampa Bay has prevailed on another faceoff.
So again, there, see through that situation, you can see a lot of incidental contact, and even there when I won the puck back, that wasn't a poke check. I just kind of used my body on the sort of the backside of the player, and that put him into enough of a stumble to lose the puck as well. So you can really see kind of how some of the incidental contact and the stick-on-stick interactions with the puck makes a big difference in terms of just being able to skate and keep the puck through traffic.
Possession taken over by Marco.
There's been a lot of questions also about goal songs and goal horns. You guys have any comments on that?
Yeah, so we're really excited this year to be able to get to that level of authenticity and be able to sign a bunch of the official songs. One of the big asks was definitely sort of the real iconic stuff. So people really want to know if Blackhawks fans if Chelsea Dagger is going to be in the game. So it's in there. But a bunch of the teams, we've got the songs in there, and we've paid some special attention to make sure that we really nailed the goal horns. There's some fans and fan sites online that have really let us know sort of where we had some inaccuracies in the past, so we've kind of paid some special attention to those, and it's great to have the goal songs to kind of match along with that level of authenticity. So when you're in some of these arenas, Calgary for example, and you got flames coming out of the scoreboard, we've also got their goal song playing at the same time.
Both teams have connected twice. Honolulu's got that one. Now what? Puck is thrown to Shing. Honolulu's carrying it.
Camera angles. Will there be an ESHL camera angle that keeps your character on the screen like NHL 14?
Yeah, so you've got all the original sort of Via Pro camera angles are still in there. Right now I'm playing on the dynamic medium camera, and you can see sort of like the further away that I get from the puck, it's actually dynamically zooming out to keep my player and the puck in view. It'll only zoom out so much. We don't want the camera to sort of be going up backwards through the rafters, but for those players that sort of like to play from those close camera angles like our dynamic low camera, but found that it was tough to play defense or something like that, which is the goalie on one side, they'll be able to play from some of those cameras now. So when you've got a close interaction with a player coming in and you want to be able to be closer in terms of trying to poke check a player and needing to be able to see those fine interactions with the stick, the closer the puck is to you, the camera will be closer. But if you're back in the blue line and the puck's in deep, it'll actually zoom out further away. So that was a big change for us, trying to take feedback as to why so many people played from the overhead cameras. But all those cameras are still in there, so if you still like playing on overhead, that's still there, accessible, but we've updated what auto zoom means within our camera system so that it will keep you and the puck in play at the same time.
Oh, is there any news on a hot return bonus yet?
Not yet.
No?
No, we're still working the details of that, so nothing to announce with returning user points yet.
Tampa Bay's lugging it along in their own end. Chip to D'Agostini. Perfect centering pass.
Have you guys done anything to like icing calls?
In terms of, I guess the rules around how it's, like whether it's waved off or not, I guess is sort of what it's been thinking. Not specifically, but there's different sort of bugs and things that they're sort of throughout the year that we fix. So we try to get the calls as accurate as possible, but we didn't go into the sort of the rule system and drastically change icing. We did go into some of the other rules to make sure that we were calling sort of charging, boarding, some of those penalties that are a bit more like kind of subjective, as opposed to say a tripping that we just call sort of blatantly very black and white. So we did go back through all those as we updated the physics system to handle stumbles and stuff like that to make sure that it was sort of full falls that were resulting in those calls, and we were really looking at the speeds of the players and how many steps they needed to take to be called the charging. And we also updated sort of the times for when you get rid of a puck, how long after that a player has an opportunity to hit you before it's an interference call. So penalties did get quite a look overall, but nothing real specific for icing.
In his own end, puck still on his stick.
Will there be the Winter Classic jerseys? I guess in the Stadium Series, I guess.
Yeah, so we've updated to keep up with sort of the latest and greatest for all the uniforms that we can. Winter Classic itself is in there, but the uniforms should be able to be selected, and then throughout, like when we have the opportunity to update jerseys and stuff, really trying to keep up with all the updating stuff that's there for any teams that are updating.
Can you explain how injuries work in ESHL this year?
Yeah, so injuries and game misconducts are kind of following this like a format. We've taken feedback that overall people don't want to get booted completely out of a game and just kind of have to sit there and watch. We want to make sure that there's still sort of repercussions to running around and sort of boarding people from behind and what could result in injuries. So overall, you'll be getting 5-minute majors, having to serve those, and then on the injury side, depending on the level of the hit and sort of your player's ability to kind of take a hit, there'll be chances of injuries, but it's sort of like a sort of between a minimum and a maximum time limit based on sort of how big the hit was. So it should be sort of a good trade-off between sort of the potential sacrifice of the game misconduct and stuff like that, so that you don't have people just running around trying to injure people. They'll be sort of paying that price as well, leaving their team shorthanded. But you won't have people that are injured for an entire game either for that same reason.
Right in front, he got his glove on that one.
There's a couple questions about deking. What have you guys done this year to kind of fine-tune it?
Yeah, so one of the main things we want to look at for deking is just the predictability. So hearing people call the deking system that was added for 15 auto dekes, it was more about making sure that it was accessible, that it wasn't about sort of having to press multiple buttons to get there, but at the same time we got the feedback that people were triggering some of the dekes by accident. So when we look back at the consistency, big giveaway. We look back some of the consistency of deking, that's where we made some of our biggest changes, and just making sure that if you were rolling the puck back to toe drag, that you didn't just sort of have to get to sort of 6 o'clock on the controller. You had to really roll all the way around to make sure that was definitely your intention, in case you're just trying to sort of toe drag back to the same side before like letting a shot go. So a lot of changes there, just to make sure that we got exactly what people wanted with the controller and still giving you full control over all those differences. And then another big change to deking is actually in the consistency of when they're pulled off. So if you have a player with a really low deke rating, they'll lose the puck in some of those toe drags and things like that as well, especially if they're trying to do them at speed. So you'll notice a lot more opportunities for players that are trying to do too much or something out of their skill level, that they'll be giving up the puck and coughing it up more as well, which is a pretty big change to the system without necessarily adding new dekes, but adds a lot of range in terms of what players can pull them off.
They win the draw.
Here's a good one. Will fans leave the game if you're blowing out their team?
They actually will.
Actually?
Yeah,
oh wow.
They will. So
that's awesome.
You need to sort of, I forget exactly, so there's a lot of different rules there for realism. It's not all sort of like hard cut boundaries, but yeah, if you're getting blown out by a bunch of goals, you'll start to see some empty seats there.
That's awesome.
I don't know if you're asking that because we're down 5-2 right now.
Yeah.
Our fans are here to stay to the end. They believe in us.
Somebody else asked about the camera in the penalty box. Does it go back to that, or does it just stay on whatever your camera is?
When you take a penalty, I guess is the
yeah.
Yeah. So you will get the in penalty box camera, and you will get that view when you're in the box.
I think with him getting bounced around in a slide area, he just got a little discombobulated and missed the net completely.
The Hawks through the neutral zone, carrying on. Solid work defensively by Rama.
Will there be a creative team? I get that question all the time.
Yeah, no created team, but that's why we wanted to make sure that when you are creating the eSports Hockey League team, that all the teams, like all the logos and all the jerseys that are in our game, and that's the great thing about having so many leagues in the game. That should give a lot of variety right off the bat, but definitely noted that that's one of the next bits of customization that the community's after, so we're looking into what it would take to get that back in future products. And for now, we wanted to make sure we focused on player customization, since that was sort of first and foremost the most important thing, and then with team, even down the road, maybe even stuff like Arena following after that.
But are you guys ever considering doing 5-man celebrations?
Yeah, so it's a funny thing because I think that people sort of talk about when we've had multiplayer celebrations in the game in the past, and that was always sort of NIS driven. So switching over to a system where it was more dynamic, where the user was in control of their own celebration after they scored, that was a big change for us. And then trying to get celebrations back. So we were able to look at when we added fighting to the game and the ability to have two-player sort of interactions and have the players retain their proper scale and stuff like that when people are changing heights and weights of players and stuff like that. That's why we went with 2 originally, but we definitely hear that request loud and clear, and we're going to see what we can do to get there in the future for sure. Five for 12. We definitely hung our goalie out to dry. There's a lot of one-timers there. That was more defensive problems than our goalie, who actually stood in his head in every other chance he had. So.
Will there be 3-on-3 OT?
Not for launch, but obviously it's an authentic part of the new rules, so it's something that we'll look at getting in there as fast as we can. Obviously no confirmed date or time or anything like that, but we understand the importance of it. We good to go? Yeah. Good.
Got the Agostini back on D.
Yes. Do you want to go through the classes since nobody saw the classes on the way in last game?
Yeah, we'll go through the classes. The one thing that we will point out with the classes is we have the ability, and that's what's going to be so great about getting all your feedback during the beta period, is that we'll be able to tweak the classes as we need to keep balance. So with the different builds, as you see on the screen here, the graphs and some of the strengths and weaknesses that are written are still kind of placeholder, but when the beta goes live, those will all be updated. So definitely take what you're seeing on the class descriptions on our site and through the social channels that we posted yesterday as the more accurate kind of descriptions of what's there. And as you can see, we had the countdown timer, so we didn't get a chance to sort of go through all the classes, but we'll do that going into the next game as well.
Cool. What was the choice for using Patrick Kane and Jonathan Toews on the cover?
Yeah, well, for us, what we did this year with the, we didn't do the cover vote, as everyone knows. So what we did was a little unique this year. We had one athlete from each of the teams that made the playoffs. And as you know, the Chicago Blackhawks won the championship, and we had Toews and Kane as sort of the guys we had selected for the Blackhawks. So for us, it's awesome because I mean those guys with the dynasty they created Chicago, just seem a perfect fit for us, especially everything we're doing this year with the feature set as well. Like we're so focused on the ability to play with your teammates, winning as a team, playing together. So they're a great fit for us, and just a great story too is 2 guys that are on the cover for the second time, both of them together. So.
In his defensive end to get it. Honolulu's moving the puck along the side. Good work with the stick. Great scoring chance here. He can start some danger here. Not there.
Oh, that puck slowed up and just missed the side of the net.
On to Biggs. Missed the net.
That shot just squeezed through. I don't know how.
Someone asked about stick lifts and slashing penalties. How's that been?
Yeah, so we've looked back at poke checking and stick lifts as defensive tools. Everything within our game has been about balance and making sure that sort of the proper accountability, both when you have the puck that you need to protect it properly, and then on the defensive side that you need to execute properly to be able to get the puck back as well. So, what a pass. When it comes to stick lifts, you do need to be on the strong side of the puck. If you're trying to stick lift from the opposite side, there's a way higher chance you're going to get that slashing penalty. And then we also look at sort of the strength and the stick checking abilities of the players and the puck control of the player that you're up against, how quickly they'll be able to react. Because we know it was a big problem before where every time you try to stick lift a player, they would just get the puck back right away. So that'll be reflected more, especially if you look at the EA Sports Hockey League and the different player classes that are picked. If you've got the power forwards and the players that are a bit stronger on the puck, they're going to be tough offer for the smaller players who to get the puck away from. But when it makes sense, that's when we kind of talk and play it. Yeah, so it'll be.
Oh,
what a
save.
save. And then in terms of slashing, it's still part of the stick lift mechanic, but it comes into play when you're doing it at the wrong time, trying to go across a player's body to try and get that stick lift. So there's just an accountability doing it at the right time.
Just don't want to see a fight.
Let's see a fight. We'll get a fight soon.
In their own end, controlling the play. In the defensive zone, possession still his. No shadow of the
What do you have to do?
here.
Did the back skate get an improvement, or is it the same as 15?
So I think it depends on what you're thinking there in terms of the back skate. If in terms of control, looking at your ability to sort of cross over and stay squared up, we did so much work this year to facing that skating in general, aside from the precision skating improvements that we put in, skating got much better just from facing alone. So trying to match up and keep pace and retain your gap when you're moving in and out and incoming forward is greatly improved. You shouldn't see moments anymore where you're expecting to stay squared up, where your player will turn, even with auto back skate turned on. And then for advanced users that are trying to use like with auto back skate off, you'll have full control over what you want to do there. So you can take those couple hard strides forward before turning to face up with your back skate once you have a good gap, and it's much more solid.
Routine stop for the goaltender. The shooter's going
I guess just in general, there was a question about Doc on goal calls, but what did you guys do kind of to improve the overall commentary?
Yeah, so we worked closely with Doc this year. We told him the feedback overall, like how people were happy to have him in the game, and that it was actually really like a testament to how good of a job he does in the real world of broadcast, that people wanted to see us bring even more of that energy. So we worked closely with him and put him through the tests and trying to kind of really push that emotional level. So you'll see a bunch of stuff now when teams really hem another team in and they've got sort of a longer puck possession, that he gets more excited in those instances. And then leading right into goal calls, we added a bunch more sort of player names to those goal calls, because he's iconic for calling out players' sort of last names, or even sort of their full first and last names when you score goals. So there's a lot of energy in those moments. And then there's even some specific goals calls if you score some really big goals, like if you score some overtime winners, or if you have that opportunity to score that overtime goal for a Stanley Cup victory, then you'll really hear Doc jump out of his seat.
Turns around back in his own end to try and get something better. Right into the slot. That's turned aside. Dream Killers carrying on in their own end. The arm comes
Is there going to be player customization for tomorrow's beta?
Yeah, so all the player customization is there. There's nothing limited. We talked about how there's a bit of a limit due to sort of size, and want to make sure we get people the beta out to everyone. But like in terms of teams, but for players, you'll be able to customize everything you will in the final product, right down to your skate lace color, the ear guards in your helmet, all the different tape jobs on your stick. People can try out all the different facial hairstyles and beards and all that stuff too. So we look to see what people come up with. Manual sauce.
And the puck gathered in by Markov. Gotta ice it here.
How many pauses?
There's still 3 pauses in the game, so that's something that we'll continue to take feedback as well. We know that's a big sort of topic in terms of community. People sort of say, why does there need to be pauses at all? You have an opportunity between periods, so we'll keep sort of listening to that feedback and see how it plays out in the actual beta period, and continue to add stuff to the wish list in terms of what's needed.
Can he generate something from there? Oh, here's a wrister. Terrific stop, and it's loose. Honolulu's lugging it through the center ice area. The clock bleeds down to the last minute. Can he generate something? He chipped that one off the boards and ahead.
Comments.
Guards the point well, doesn't he? Great glove grab. And he holds on.
The crowd sounds different. Did you guys improve that?
Yeah, so there was a bunch of changes to the crowd, both in terms of trying to make sure that they're more dynamic, flowing with the play, reacting to hits properly. You'll see if a goalie's making multiple saves, that they're getting that much more excited with each save as things get more intense. Adding a bit more sort of close chatter within the crowd too, through sort of different pockets to bring some of the individual voices to life. Your players or fans in the crowd yelling at players to shoot the puck and to move the puck and that kind of thing too. We really want to bring that part of it to life to match some of the sort of the volume, the authenticity we had in terms of the number of crowd that we added in last year, that we want the audio to take that next step this year too.
Has kept his team in it. We have ended the period, and he gets rest.
Can you clear the puck easier without it going over the board / shooting behind the net or behind center ice on net?
I don't know. I guess it depends on where you're having problems last year. I think that it really is in user control. Again, like I said with some of the other things, sometimes like little bugs along the way that we fixed through some of those things. We didn't necessarily change the overall mechanic for how to dump the puck in, but overall you have quite a bit of control in terms of whether you want to sort of send the puck on a long loft into the far corner, or whether you want to dump the puck in hard, and then whether you're doing that sort of from, like say, from behind center. If I guess the scenario would be on a PK or something like that. You should be able to keep the puck in play.
Yeah, I noticed it wasn't that bad anymore. Like last year, you would have pucks that would just kind of fly over sometimes, whereas this year it seems a little bit more controlled about your position and where you are.
And those actually weigh in on, just like the regular shooting, like those have error too. So if you're actually like skating hard or rushing, the chance of error on those is actually increased too, to sort of simulate someone who's trying to kind of frantically get the puck out on the PK versus having time and being collected. So that might also be where you do end up seeing some of the error this year is at least it's tied to how frantic you are when you're playing the game.
I know we kind of talked about this, but there seems to be more questions about the indicator size and such. And if I guess you can turn them off or whatnot.
Yeah, you have the ability to change sort of like whether you see like the player names and stuff like that. You can turn those on and off below. In terms of the indicators themselves, we did switch the visual lookover as part of our hint system for the on-ice visualizations. So the regular indicators followed suit. And we have taken the feedback from the community in terms of like overall scale. Right now, they're because they're more two-dimensional rather than three-dimensional. They're not like if you play from a really far camera angle away. And we saw some of the feedback from the EA Sports Hockey League video that went out. So when you saw it from the overhead camera, the icons are bigger in that view. They're sort of more of like a medium size compared to my player in the view that you see streamed right now from the dynamic medium camera. But the closer you get, the smaller they'll seem. But we're trying to work on something that will how we can open up the opportunity for people to be able to change that either themselves or have it scale dynamically again.
Yeah, I think the other piece we'll add to that too is when we were first talking about different player class for the EA Sports Hockey League, we were debating whether or not we could put an indicator to show that what player class each player had on the ice, which is kind of how they ended up so big to start with. They were keeping that real estate so that they were visible while we game play.
Yeah. Does the playmaker class have more speed and more agility than the rest?
Which one?
The playmaker class, does it have more speed and more agility?
Yeah, so across all the player classes, they actually have the same skating skills. That's where we're starting. So again, I'm sure that'll be a constant debate throughout the beta, throughout the community as to which way we should go with skating. But overall, we wanted sort of more of the raw physical skills of the players, other than when it came to kind of like heights and weights and when it comes to hitting, because we sort of still saw that as a skill piece of the game and something that would balance. But we've got all the skating attributes are actually the same across the board right now, so you shouldn't see any agility advantages, speed advantages, acceleration advantages across any of the players. But if we find that we need to push some of those things to help the balance overall, that's something that we can definitely experiment with when we sort of listen to the overall community and how it plays out. But it's kind of nice right now that it's sort of up to you. If you make a mistake and you get caught sort of with a bad step, that you can't overcome that just by having speed on your player. So it really comes down to playing smart positionally, which really plays into the team aspect of the game.
We're hanging our tee out to dry.
Jeez. Will all the camera angles be available on the beta?
Yep, you'll be able to go in through all the options. You'll be able to set all the different cameras and try them all out. Definitely encourage people to try out the dynamic cameras again with the auto zoom turned on to see how that feels, all the way up to stuff like the overhead camera to give us feedback on where we can continue to improve there too, or whether that's suiting what people need.
Question about enforcers. Are they good at defense or are they only good at fighting?
A little bit of both. They're definitely physical on defense. They lack some of the skill parts of defense. They won't have as great sort of stick checking, but because of their size and their strength, they'll be able to run people out into the boards, and you'll be able to use them that way on defense for sure.
It's not necessarily how hard you shoot the puck, but it's the release. What a beautiful forehand shot.
That's pretty rare these days to pick that one. It's a good shot.
Oh yeah, I saw that earlier. Are you guys going to be releasing the player overalls and stuff again, or is that going to be like
Player ratings?
Yeah.
Yep, we will we'll unveil those. I'm not sure the exact date when they're going to go live, but that's something we'll roll out before launch.
Picks it up in his own end. Wow, what a hit. What a mean-spirited hit.
Oh,
Jeez.
that was a huge steal. I was just about to go into pass block too, so that's why I went into the deep there.
Oh, somebody asked, who are your guys' favorite players?
Ben Ross. NHL? I don't know. I tend to be a Stamkos fan. I tend to become fans of players that we work with and that like the game, play the game, and stuff like that. So I'm a Stamkos fan. I'm a Eddie Lack fan. He was great to work with this year as well with the goalie stuff. So he's a huge fan of the game as well. So I'm an Eddie Lack fan.
Yeah, I think like working on the game, it's interesting. You sort of you grow up in your hometown, you start to like have affinity for your hometown. But the more that you work on a game like this, you start to really appreciate the other things, and you find yourself starting to like some of these players on these sort of bitter rivals and stuff to your hometown team. So it's pretty interesting how you start to kind of really appreciate the fans of the other teams and stuff like that as you get the opportunities to visit some of these other buildings. It was amazing when we were in Chicago this year with an opportunity to record with Doc and Eddie and see sort of how alive that building is. We got an amazing fan base there, and you start to kind of appreciate what some of those players can do there too, where when you're sort of watching it on your couch at home, and you're playing against your team, you don't like them as much, but you start to really like some of the other players in the league, so an opportunity to just kind of like appreciate the sport and some of the other teams in general.
Another question is, oh, they're still requesting a fight. Jeez. After the game, if you get a win, is there like win celebrations?
Yeah, so there's new stuff that you'll see during the intros to match some of the things that are iconic in some of the different arenas and stuff around the league, and then you'll see that for the celebrations as well. So you'll see a team like the Rangers saluting their fans and that kind of thing. And then there's some unique stuff in there that we'll sort of leave for people to kind of find on their own when certain players are in the lineup or certain teams are playing and stuff like that too. But yeah, you'll definitely see some different outros and win celebrations.
Everybody just wants to fight. Are the hybrid controls still present or just the skill stick?
Yeah, you still have the hybrid controls. Overall, we're trying to with the new on ice, like on the on ice trainer and visualizations, trying to teach everybody the skill stick controls. But you have the ability to go back and use some of the button controls of hybrid controls as well.
When can I play?
Tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yeah.
Yeah, tomorrow's the day.
Yeah, so once again, I kind of keep touching on it, but yeah, the beta drops tomorrow, but again, we don't have, like, there's no set time exactly. It won't be like 12:01 in the morning, so just make sure to get some sleep, and whenever Sony and Microsoft will update their marketplaces, it'll be available. So they could be near the same time, they could be 2 hours apart, it's all dependent on when they do it.
Yeah, just probably a good opportunity just to reiterate that we're really looking for feedback for everyone that plays it. So play the game and give us your feedback so we can just really start to dial in the experience and get it right before launch. So I'm looking forward to hearing all the feedback from you guys.
Is there going to be like a survey, or are you guys just kind of looking for feedback on the forums?
There's a Survey Monkey that people will be able to use, and also through the forums as well. So we'll be looking at it every single day and just kind of pulling all together.
Can you join back in games when you leg out?
Unfortunately not. That's definitely something that we're looking into. We know people really like that, and that side of it, and then also the potential of joining in with your friends if you were sort of there a bit late. So yeah, definitely something that's on the wish list that we're tracking, but not for this year.
Is there mascots for ESHL clubs if you choose the NHL jerseys and our logo?
Yeah, so what we're doing is you definitely get the fans in the crowd will be wearing the same jerseys that you're wearing for your teams. And then if you do have a team that has a mascot, you can see there live on the stream in all his glory, Tommy Hawk following suit with the hometown team there because they're wearing the Chicago Blackhawks uniforms.
In ESHL, can you play with multiple players on the same console?
Not for EA Sports Hockey League, but we did bring back Couch Co-op. You will be able to get online and online versus games and stuff like that and play with multiple people on the same console. And then, yeah, you sort of hear the request from the community in terms of EA Sports Hockey League, but not for NHL 60. Who do we got on our team that can fight? Agostini?
Get him.
Next face-off.
It's gonna fight.
Oh, that's the one right there, chopping the legs out.
Oh, jeez. Someone fight Ben. Jeez. Can every class fight, or is it just like certain classes, or can you still just try and start fights?
Yeah, every class can fight. Obviously, if you've got sort of more of the playmakers and the snipers, you're not going to fare too well if you're matched up against.
Oh, wow!
That's the best they'll set you up all year.
Jeez. Alright, let's get a fight.
Passing one off now to D'Agostini. Loose puck captured by Ramo.
Ooh, good save.
Marches on a cross. Really good move.
Oh, good try. Next face off, I'll fight if nobody else jumps in there. Just my playmaker will test and see who steps up.
Oh, his hands are so soft.
Penalty kill. Loose puck brought in by Ross.
Oh yeah.
Cut through and angled to Ramo. He heads right for the net. Ramo's tripped up. That should be a penalty. Honolulu's got 2 on this one for tripping. This has been a power play.
We'll go for the power play first.
Yeah.
See if we can get something on the board in this game.
Break that key save.
Drag between the blue lines, knocks it away with the stick. All right, now there's some, and for sure he'll be taken to task.
Oh, the boss.
Oh, walked into one.
Oh no. Tie him up. Oh no.
Yeah, that's what happens to a playmaker.
There you go.
Yeah.
The mountain. Jeez. Somebody's asking who's the best NHL player out of the devs.
We actually did an internal tournament at the end, so yeah, one of our software engineers actually won the whole tournament. So shout out to Eugene, who dominated this year. Actually, when it got to the final, it was a really close 2-1 game, I believe. So yeah. But yeah, with across our team, so many people playing the game, we're at the end, doing it at the end when everybody's pretty good at the game. That's a pretty big accomplishment. But yeah, I think I was knocked out in the second round of this time. I couldn't even make the third round.
Will you see players enter the ice in the intro in ESHL?
Not entering the ice. We still sort of followed the NBC broadcast where they're kind of joining in sort of midway through the intro, sort of right when Doc and Eddie come in there. But you will sort of see sort of the intro taking place in the background, but not entering the ice. But we do have all the proper tunnel locations, so when they exit the ice post-period or during the misconducts and injuries and things like that, you'll see the home and away teams using all the proper tunnels now since we have them accurate from all the proper architecture that was put in last year.
Is there any special goal celebrations?
A lot of the single-user goal celebrations are the same, but I think that's something that we're looking at in terms of customization for the future, opening up the opportunity for people to do some cool stuff and the way they express themselves that way.
Because yeah, it is for like the autographs and all that stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely looking for places where we can be more authentic to the real world, trying to find some stuff that's authentic to superstars within the NHL, and then open up some opportunities to in the eSports Hockey League. But for now, we focused on a lot of like the aesthetic sort of change in terms of like the different equipment varieties and styles there.
Everyone keeps asking me about ESHL team practice.
Yeah, so yeah, we don't have that, but we sort of definitely have that on the list as well. Just practice mode in general, you know, the people want that back, and then the opportunity to bring that back for the eSports Hockey League. But yeah, first and foremost was to make sure that we had the league there back. We're really excited to have the eSports Hockey League back, and hopefully we'll get people to get on the ice and definitely use the beta period as your opportunity to practice because we will be resetting the servers and stuff. So take some risks, play with different classes, give us feedback in terms of where the balance needs to go because the losses won't mean much until the game goes live. So don't worry about those sort of blemishes on your record and practice up as much as possible during the beta window so we can get things rock solid for the launch.
Mm-hmm. Will every player grow a beard in the playoffs?
The players who should grow beards will grow beards, just like the authenticity in terms of all of our equipment and trying to get all that stuff accurate for all the players. We've had guys going through and making sure to assign the right types of beards and the lengths that they can grow to and stuff like that. So some of the younger players will have trouble growing some of the fuller beards you'll see from some of the wily vets.
Yeah, I saw Crosby's, so it was pretty
patchy. Still a little bit patchy.
Maybe I'll get there something.
Buckled there.
Yeah, he's buckled hard. That was the sniper taking fist to the face.
Will ESHL playoffs be monthly?
Yes.
eSports Hockey League, yeah, playoffs are monthly, and then we're going to keep an eye on sort of how that goes as well too. Six buds.
Is there any kind of player suspensions?
No player suspensions right now, but again, that's something that's been heard throughout the community as well.
When you get a game misconduct, does it show you leaving the rink?
Yep, so definitely because we have the ability to show the players in the tunnels now and have them in the authentic locations, we can finish that thread and show players who are both injured for a game or who have misconducts leaving the arena.
And gathered in by Ross. Forcing the goalie to crane left.
Are you guys thinking of adding a coach co-op for hockey?
Cleared out, and that forces them to drop.
We've heard about that. We've heard that too. So it's definitely something we'll look at moving forward. So yeah, it's on the list.
Picks it up in his own end. Oh, a great reaction there as that one was tipped on goal. Right near the goal stripe in the corner to Ross. Puck is thrown to Crisp. Honolulu's carrying it on through center ice.
We'll be doing over the next lead up to launch here over the next kind of 4 to 5 weeks. We'll be doing deep dive into the game modes as well, and getting into every kind of nitty gritty detail. So lots more mode information to come as well.
Mountain, running the fight, running around this moment.
Is there going to be any kind of leaderboards during the beta?
It'll still run the same leaderboards. that are there, sort of posts. But like I said, those will get wiped. But all the stuff that's there, it'll keep your team stats and keep your player stats as it will with the official product.
Through the neutral zone. That puck is wired in. Pass comes to him from the crease. Dream Killers continue on in their own end. Mashed in. Back in his defensive end to get it. Still on the move in their own end. Oh, what a mean hit that one was. That's probably going to bring an answer. Oh, broke it up. Try to clear the puck, and that one's sent back out. Puck shot out into the bench.
Honolulu's clearly the aggressor from the beginning of the game, but in particular this period, they've started to take over physically, and as a result, they've
Another question.
Hey, on the board.
Nice. There we
There you
go.
Fast,
Oof.
didn't they?
Lime green. Jeez. Will you be using this revamped ESHL to try and promote more competitive esports play via streaming top ESHL teams on your main Twitch account, broadcasted tournaments, or etc.?
It's definitely something that's come up as more and more people have played the game, and I think that's where the focus to really make sure that we have real strong, balanced gameplay. So if we get to the point where that's working really well, we'd love to see it get to that spot, both in terms of people creating their own sort of tournaments and leagues and things like that, and then seeing where we can maybe take that in the future too.
And play stopped because of an offside.
Did you want to talk about the changes to passing at all?
Yeah, so a lot of changes to passing. We heard a lot of feedback after last year that people wanted more manual control over passing. Last year was an interesting opportunity for us to see because in NHL 14 there were some limitations to be able to snap the puck around on the power play and stuff like that too, because you're always having to power the puck up sort of with like a quick tap being kind of a slow pass. So we took that kind of knowledge and made our minimum pass speeds a bit higher, but you still now this year have full control over the power of your passing just with a slightly higher minimum. And then also looking at sort of the direction of your pass too, giving people more control so they can make sure they can bank, be more creative, bank pucks off the boards, throw pucks to space, and that kind of thing, which was obviously the feedback from last year was that we weren't quite there. So some pretty big changes to passing, and then on the receptions of passes too, making sure that players can't pick up pucks really easily if they're skating away at full speed and trying to pick up a puck on their backhand compared to opening up properly. And that's where the facing angles became so important too, was making sure that we gave you the tools to be able to square up, because we couldn't have sort of hit you negatively and not allowed you to pick up passes if we didn't give you the opportunity to square up when you needed to as well. So all those things really go hand in hand with one another.
Tampa Bay's got it. Directing that one to Markov. Onside.
Is there going to be any kind of playoffs during the beta?
Probably no playoffs during the beta, just given the limited duration of the time. I think what we'll do now that this game's over and get the puck kick. Maybe we'll go back in one more time. We'll take a look at Victor's fantastic player classes real quick, and maybe we'll wrap it up with that. Just any more questions, take some more questions as well.
I've had a couple questions about the goalie control and stuff. What was kind of the idea behind those?
Yeah, so for goalie controls, the high-level goal for EA Sports Hockey League and for unique player control in general was although to balance first and foremost, but then also giving ultimate control from every single position. And with all the requests over the last few years in terms of people playing manual goalie wanting more, it was the perfect opportunity to look back at that and make sure that we gave that position sort of the attention it deserved as well. So we looked back at what the goalie was able to do, what was limiting them from being able to do some stuff before. So playing an online position and a position like goalie where the puck's moving 90, 100 miles an hour, it's tough to give full manual control over saves. So you still do have sort of the AI will sort of help when you're in a position, but all the desperation saves and stuff like that, moving in the crease, you won't feel locked in. You have manual control over that, and over the core movement as well, making sure that you can really push off when you need to kind of do those T pushes out to the opposite side of the crease, sort of over bigger movements. And then having finite control over the smaller movements with the precision control. So with that, we changed some of the controls on the controller to mimic that as well, knowing that people would be switching back and forth between precision and regular motion for the T pushes. a lot more. So we sort of changed the way that we use the shoulder buttons and the triggers to accommodate what we felt people were going to use the most often.
So I think we're just, yeah, like Rammer said, we're just going to go through the player classes a little bit so they can kind of discuss. So.
Are they ready to start matchmaking?
Yeah, we'll have to kind of go through there really quick because of the time
40 seconds,
that's on there. But then we can continue to talk about them a little bit after too, especially if there's any sort of questions that roll in.
Yeah, I'd say you can probably just go through all the forward classes, just kind of show them off and then talk about them.
Yeah.
Once you're ready, tell Marco to go.
Marco, come on. Oh, he backed up. And he's in charge.
Yeah, so we had mentioned it before, but for those that didn't hear, some of the graphs that are there and some of the strengths and weaknesses that are listed will be updated before the actual beta goes live. That's all stuff that we can change dynamically, and that's why we really want to take the feedback from everybody. So as you can see, I'm sort of going through there's the power forward, the two-way forward, the enforcer class as a forward. We saw people talking about whether there's an enforcer on offense and defense. There is on both sides. Because I'm in a forward position, I can only pick from these forward classes, but there's a defensive defenseman, offensive defenseman, two-way defenseman, and an enforcer class on D as well. But you can see sort of from sort of the grinder is sort of like a player that you're obviously going to pick to sort of grind out in the corners and win pucks back and use more of their size. They do have the added advantage of having good hands, so that they're a really great player to have in front of the net as well, if you're looking for deflections and that kind of thing. So that's sort of their added advantage. Whereas a two-way forward is a little bit more average across the board offensively. They don't really have any massive issues on offense in terms of negatives, but they're not going to excel at either passing or shooting. But where they'll really excel is sort of winning pucks back. So they're good at stick checking, so that they can sort of cause turnovers, and then they're great in the transition game.
All right, so we're going to wrap it up there. Just a reminder that the beta is tomorrow, so make sure you guys get into that because they're looking for feedback. There is a survey that you can find, as well as you can stop by the forums as well and you can leave some feedback. But otherwise, thanks for tuning in, guys. For all of us here, Rammer and the boss, Ross,